The 6 most mysterious unsolved murders of all time. Welcome back to ITO's 10. Today we're talking about serial killers that turned out to be so genius that they remain unfound and unnamed to this day. These creepy stories will chill you to the bone. Watch out for an age-old unsolved mysterious murder that is creepy as hell. You might have heard about some of these since they boggled the minds of the public so much that they gained a lot of attention from the media and have been popularized. But did you actually know the whole story behind them? Let's find out. Number 6. Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper, quite aptly named, took the streets of London by terror in the 1800s. The police speculated that this murderer was either a doctor or a butcher. Why? Because of how he used his knife. The Ripper slit the throat of his victims and opened up their stomachs to rip out their organs. At a closer look, they realized that most victims were drug abusers or prostitutes, making them easily accessible. His Whitechapel murders are barbarous and too horrible for the description, according to the local newspapers. Also known as the Leather Apron, the Whitechapel murderer was not the first serial killer, but definitely was one that brought to light many urban problems of London. He drew attention to the poverty and socio-economic conditions of the working class, and he became the symbol of a predatory aristocracy. There's a silver lining to everything, huh? He remains unidentified to this day, to an extent that we still are not completely sure about how many victims he murdered. He quickly became a children's bogeyman and was popularized by the media. Number 5. The Zodiac Killer. It isn't easy to have a legacy left behind that has people across the world scratching their heads. The Zodiac Killer managed to do so. This American serial killer started his legacy in the late 1960s and left behind a trail of taunting clues that have still not been cracked. He wrote multiple letters and cards in code that has not been figured out, even 50 years later. The killer has admitted to murdering 37 people, but has been linked to other cold cases. His murders were in Benicia, Vallejo, Napa County, and San Francisco. He usually targeted young couples, and most of them died, except for 2 surviving men who were severely injured. This strange murderer enjoyed the attention and did what he could to remain in the spotlight. The Chronicle published his cryptograms in the newspapers too, but apparently his genius is beyond the capacities of anyone in the country. He has said, "I like killing people because it's so much fun. Man is the most dangerous animal of all." His case remains a disturbing and frustrating unsolved case to this day. But these were quite famous serial killers that almost anyone interested in crime and suspense knows about. Let's move on to some lesser-known unsolved murders that are creepier because of the fact that they haven't been solved. They're creepy because we definitely know the people involved in the victims' families and proximities are hiding something, and because their investigations don't seem fully satisfying. Number 4. Jonbenet Ramsey. Jonbenet Ramsey was a little girl of only 6 years. She was an American beauty queen that the world adored. She was extremely cute, and we can only wonder what someone had against her that was so bad that they would murder an innocent child. She was brutally murdered in her family home, making her parents and older brother the prime suspects in the investigation. To make matters worse, the family started acting strange and suspicious, increasing the number of fingers pointed in their direction. Since the murder remains unsolved to this day, there have been a lot of conspiracy theories. One is that her brother accidentally killed her, and her parents, distraught over losing a child, but even more determined to protect the other, rose to the occasion and made it look like a murder to clear him of it. But Jonbenet had a broken skull and had been strangled. The eyes then turned to the father, suspecting him of sexual abuse. Perhaps he took advantage of Jonbenet up until she started to understand what was going on. Being a popular icon, Jonbenet would have surely gotten a lot of support if she had spoken out against him. So when things started becoming too risky, he simply finished her off and made it look like a murder. The parents claimed to have found a ransom note. Of course, making it look like a kidnapping would make it believable because of how beautiful and famous she was. But the note was unusually long, with a tone that is too unusual in kidnapping and murder cases, and had no other fingerprints except the mother's. Unfortunately, the little girl's soul never got the justice she deserved. Number 3. Jessica Lal. Speaking of injustice, the line of wronged women when it comes to murders is extremely long. One such innocent woman was Jessica Lal. What shook up all moral grounds that India believes in of women as goddesses is the murder and public assault of Jessica Lal. The case was so shocking that it gained public attention in the form of a movie titled No One Killed Jessica. Jessica was a waitress who had never hurt anyone. Her only mistake was the refusal to continue serving a man drinks. Manu Sharma, the convicted man, walked free on good behavior. The murder happened at a party, which was filled with people. Jessica was shot in the head. Yet when witnesses were questioned, no one saw what happened. Here's another example of how the upper classes oppress the lower classes, yet walk free without any consequences. Number 2. Bella. In 1943, England, 4 young boys trespassed a territory they were not supposed to be on in search for nests. What they found rattled their bones, so to speak. they decided to keep stum. But the youngest one was so disturbed that he confessed to his dad everything, starting up an investigation that is still unsolved and has now gone cold. The skeleton of a young woman with distinctive teeth and a gold wedding ring and a severed hand at the bottom was found inside a tree. What terrifies the community to this day is the long prevailing question that has been the subject of graffiti too. Who put Bella in the witch elm? Some experts suggest that this is the work of witchcraft. Bella was the victim of gypsies who sacrificed her, perhaps because she did something unacceptable. A chilling factor is that they found this lady had given birth at least once. What makes us wonder? What happened to her child? Other more believable theories are that she was either a German spy that got caught or simply found out too much about them. She could have also been a prostitute that got involved with the wrong client and had to pay the price with her life. Number 1. Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old, was found chopped exactly in half from the waist, without a drop of blood on her, by her mother and her child, inches from the sidewalk. The headlines in 1947 called her Black Dahlia for her black hair and her preference for black-coloured clothing. Elizabeth was apparently from Massachusetts, but had to come to California as an aspiring actress in pursuit of fame. She was bled dry before being chopped in half and thrown onto the street. Her dissection seemed to be very professionally performed, and she also had a breast missing. What is shocking is that people have come up confessing to committing the crime, but the evidence does not match up to their stories. Why would they confess to a murder they haven't committed? We don't know yet, and going off the lack of evidence we have, doesn't look like the case will be solved anytime soon. But what do you think? Which unsolved murder story creeped you out the most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share the video with as many people as possible. If you like this video, subscribe to ITO's 10 for more such chilling stories, and we'll see you soon.